All right, straight into it today. No introduction. This shoe needs no introduction. I am running in the carbon fiber plated Kiprun Kipsummit Race. Ooh boy, I am on a slight descent here and I am feeling it already. This shoe feels spectacular on foot. First few steps and I could already tell. Well, before I get into it, take a look at this shorts and shoe combo here. Compressed Sport Sugar Ice shorts, one of my favorite summer shorts. It is December 11th and 60 degrees here in Idaho. Completely insane, but what a pairing here. I hope you checked out my combo review of the Kipsummit Max and the La Sportiva Prodigio 2. I was super pumped to run in both of those shoes straight after coming back from TRE, and this one's not an exception. I just kind of wanted to split up my first impressions of the Max and race models from Kiprun. So crazy warm weather here at the moment, but I do have a nice dry track to work with and a mix of varied terrain, which should be fun for a first run. Specs right away, I am gonna mention some of the Max specs also along the way. I think it's good these shoes are coming out fresh to have the comparison. Both shoes are spec'd at 39.33 for a 6 mil drop. I do measure them a little bit lower, but very close. I measured 36 at the heel for the Max and 37 here for the Race. Essentially the same stack within a margin of error, but curiously a couple millimeters below their spec, which is not typically the case. Normally you see a little bit higher spec than what you're given in a spec sheet. Midsole foam is the same. They're calling it Fast Tech Plus. It's an A-TPU foam. That stands for aliphatic TPU. Now I don't exactly know what the technical term aliphatic means, but when it comes to these midsole foams, did a little research. It claims to have the bounce and rebound properties of some of the more recent PIBA super foams, but with increased durability, both long-term and over the course of a single outing. This is the third A-TPU midsole that I've run in, all on trails. I have the Max, of course, same foam as this one, the race model, and another top secret shoe that I can't really talk about. But my experience has been the same. This shoe I'm just obviously starting out in, but the other two shoes, they have a feel to them that it just feels like they're gonna be more durable. It feels like the foam, of course, has that same bounce and reactivity, but there is a certain feel to it, even on the run, even kind of with each footstep, that it's not really sinking down as much. It seems to spring back, and that's probably part of that durability aspect. You could almost feel it on the run, throughout the run. But before I get into the ride of this shoe itself, let's talk about the weight, because I thought the 10-ounce mark in my US 10 for the Kipsummit Max was really a great number there. And this one measured 1 millimeter higher at the heel, in fact, within a margin of error, essentially the same, but it comes in at 9.5 ounces, and that's in a US 10 EU 44. So you've got essentially the same stack, same sizing, of course, carbon fiber plate underfoot here, but a full half-ounce lighter. I've got the head trail designer on a WhatsApp chat, and I asked him, is the foam really exactly the same? Because I obviously put the shoe on, walked around a little bit, and the Max feels so much more softer, so much cushier. He did assure me though that the A-TPU Fast Tech Plus midsole here is exactly the same in both models. He said that it was the carbon fiber plate embedded within that really makes the difference in the energy return, and of course, I would say the complete feel of the shoe underfoot. It does not have that same kind of quote-unquote sink-in softness of the Max, that reactive softness that feels so cushy underfoot, yet at the same time seems to bounce back so quickly. It doesn't seem to sink in that much here. You've got more reactivity, certainly less ground contact time, that lesser time enhanced by the carbon fiber plate. Now this shoe does have Race in the model name, and I can assure you it is up to that level for sure. It has a feel, even on the first run, that certainly in line with legit super shoes, tried and tested from Adidas, Hoka on, really in the realm of those shoes. But again, first run here, so I don't want to make any unfair comparisons. That is not fair. I need to do some more testing, but the initial impression on foot is very good. Moving down to the ground platform, of course you got Vibram Mega Grip underfoot here. Similar platform overall to the Max. You do get those traction lugs here, and I think just a little bit more of an aggressive design in terms of the lug shape and how many you get underfoot. Platform is essentially the same. I did measure 119, 90, 98, which is within like 1 or 2 millimeters of the Max. That's just variation depending on where I take the measurement. Essentially same platform underfoot. Pretty standard width for a trail super shoe under the forefoot and the heel, and it does maintain its width under the middle of the shoe. Sometimes you'll see a difference in that area. Adidas Speed Ultra is a prime example of that. Another shoe I tested, not quite a speed shoe, the EX330. That one also has a very pulled in waist, so to speak, under the middle of the shoe. Now I'm not really pushing them too hard in terms of stability today on this first run, but I will head down to a little bit of a descent later on. But I will say, first impressions, they are feeling stable. They feel great out of the box. Like that wide platform. Feels really good, especially under the middle of the foot. Like I said, that wider platform, very stable. It feels more stable surely than the Max, because that one just has much softer feel to it. The plate here seems to hold things a little bit taut underfoot, which is a very nice feeling. Too many shadows on the bridge. I moved a little bit past. I was initially concerned about sizing with this race model, especially as it compares to the Max. I was able to try on the Max first at TRE, and they fit absolutely perfect in a 10. I think I mentioned I probably had about 3/4 thumbs width in the Max, and it just felt really perfect on foot. This one felt noticeably longer in the toe box. There's definitely more space here. I have a legit full thumbs width here. My second toe was a little bit longer, so my big toe is right here. So now on this run, I'm feeling that it is probably good and probably preferable. As I was lacing up, I do my little crouch test, and I feel like this gives me a better idea of sizing. When I crouch down like this, then I've got about half thumbs in front of my big toe, and I think that's good. I mean, as usual, I think people size their shoes too tight, especially if you're thinking about a 100-mile type of shoe. Blondine at Diagonale de Fou. How's that? Practicing on that one. But I think you really want that full thumbs width. Initially, I was skeptical, and I do think if you tried the two shoes on side by side, you would notice that there's more space in front of the toes here, and you might think it is perhaps too big. But now that I have it, I'm glad I actually took one, because I was thinking about saying, well, maybe wait and send me a 9.5. Happy that I have this one here, to tell you the truth. The fit is similar to the Max in that it straps the foot down over the top, which feels really good and really secure. Really liking that in both of these models, especially the Race with the firmer feel. I talked about the foam, I was assured was the same formulation of A-TPU in both models, but with the carbon fiber plate in here, it feels actually more stable, not less stable. The softness of the Max, it has a little bit of wobble that you do have to control, and I did notice that sometimes when I put pressure into it, onto the ball of the foot, this kind of section kind of flexes a little bit. It's just, that's a lot of foam, 39, 33, and the A-TPU is just soft and energetic. The Max, I feel like you have to have a little bit more control, take a little bit more care in uneven sections. This one feels more stable, even though it does have the carbon fiber plate. It is forked in the front, it has a spine running down the middle, and an interesting design is that it has a ring with a hole in the middle under the heel, and I was told that that is to ensure that you don't have any harshness under the middle of the heel, especially in descents. They just want to give that kind of feeling from the center of your heel down through the soft midsole into the ground, I guess, for a little bit more feel and control. I have to say I like it. It feels really great, really stable. Wide platform, like I said, through the middle of the shoe. With the upper, it's kind of a rigid mesh here, but it is nice. I mean, it's kind of a matrix style, I would say. Always love a matrix upper. But the way it holds the foot down, it doesn't seem to have any stretch to it, which is really good. The wide platform here, it rides very stable for the amount of energy that you're getting from the foam and the plate. It feels like just one of the more stable super shoes that I have run in for sure. Again, first run, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me take the shoe off. But before I do that, I'll note an interesting lace design here, which is kind of cool. One thing to note, the ankle gaiter, it looks kind of cool, but at least for my volume of ankle, it's not fully secure. It's another one of these. I wish it was a little bit tighter. I would maybe want to go with a gaiter if you were racing in it. It depends. Maybe you have a wider foot in this area and that will fit fine, but I think they could tighten it up. The front is really nice around here, but I think in the back they could, I don't know how that would work with the design of the shoe, but if they could squeeze it or pinch the material a little here. I had no problems getting it on, so it wasn't an issue, but I think they could pinch this a little and really seal it up. But getting back to the laces, it's a quite narrower throat in comparison to the Max. The Max, I noted, it was wide, and it even widened a lot at the top of the shoe. This one's kind of narrow. Again, I have a US 10, and it feels kind of long, so perhaps I'm a bit sized roomily here. Roomy, yeah. Maybe that's perhaps why this is so close together, but again, no stretch at all. It feels great on the run. I have my pretty standard Sidus Run Anatomic Comfort Sock here. A little padded heel, a little padded in the front. Perfect fit for here. So the lacing, it comes through here and out here. So it comes over the top and out the back here. And I think that is a really nice design, especially for a carbon fiber plated super shoe. A lot of times you'll have stiffness in the shoe. The heel is going to want to come up there. And this little eyelet setup here, it's a small thing, but it seems to pull the top of the ankle and seat the heel a little bit better. I noticed that, and it looks really nice. I don't think the Max has it. No, the Max has just two regular eyelets here. I think it would be better if the Max had this too. But anyway, let's take it off here. Back on the bridge. Crazy, I'm out here. December 11th, it's almost 4 o'clock. You could probably hear the water flowing behind me. This should be frozen. I should not be out here in a t-shirt, but here I am. Kipsummit Race. Take a look at this. You could tell kind of visually, it's kind of straight back. I feel like this could be a little, it looks cool, you know? It matches the design of that. I hope they just didn't design this aesthetically, but it could be tightened up over here. Take a look at the outsole here. Nice wide platform. Pretty awesome underfoot. Little bit showing through here, but it's got to come down to the upper. That's saving a lot of weight. 9.5 ounces, half ounces less than the Max. Again, same amount of midsole foam, and you would think adding a carbon fiber plate would up the weight, but the upper is certainly less. I noted in my first run at the Max, very cushy materials all throughout. It was just a lot of softness, a lot of, I don't know, comfort wrapping around the foot. This is not really harsh materials. It's kind of it feels like a rigid mesh, but it wraps the foot really well, so I don't notice any harsh points, but it's certainly not the amount of padding, especially around these front ankle collars, and it's a booty design here, so you don't have any extra kind of tongue material. The Max had kind of a big tongue wrapping around both sides of the foot, so surely the weight is saved in this super lightweight upper here. 9.5 ounces, incredible. Inside the heel here, something, I think the Adidas Speed Ultra, I'm not sure about version 2, could do well going with just a bigger ring of padding in here. When you have a super shoe like this, carbon fiber, you want to make sure, do whatever you can to keep that heel seated in the cup there. And they just put a nice ring all the way, it actually extends around the front here. Really great. One thing to note, this little eyelet thing here, you can't really see it passing through on the inside. If you were to pull these laces out, well, this is actually kind of long, so I would assume you could work it through there. So you would have to have a long aglet here just to make sure, in case you accidentally pull this out, because it doesn't go through on the inside. But it works well, so hopefully you just leave it, set it, and forget it, and that shouldn't be a problem. Flex the shoe here. Carbon fiber, super shoe, of course. You're not going to see a lot of flex there. Little bit of twist. I think that's as much as you're going to get with this type of plated shoe, but it feels good. Take a look at the rocker. Really aggressive rocker up front, but not crazy. Not so much under the heel too. You get a steep sweep really farther back, but I think I would say from here to here it's pretty flat and pretty solid, and I think this is a good setup for a super shoe. It feels stable. Like when I'm landing right there, and it has a very smooth rocker into the toe. Really like the feel and the ride of the geometry in this shoe. Some of them can feel a little bit too rounded. I think the Speed Ultra is one that comes specifically to mind. A lot more upsweep in the heel in that model, and even the forefoot feels more aggressively swept. So of course they're like this narrow under the middle of the shoe with that Speed Ultra, and that could feel definitely wobbly out on the trail. This one, it feels flat, it feels smooth. Kind of reminds me of the Cloud Ultra Pro in the geometry up front. It's not that aggressive, crazy steep rocker. It feels like you could land, you know, it's pretty variable where you could land your foot, anywhere from here through the middle, even a little bit up on the forefoot, because you're not so aggressively upswept at the front of the toe box here. There's a lot, you can put the shoe anywhere on the ground, and that's going to work out when you're going up, when you're going down. Twisty, turny terrain, just feels really good. So this is my first run. I'm talking a lot about this shoe. Really great. Let me get going. Heading over to one of my fun switchbacky descents. Should be a good initial test of stability. Always a fun little descent there. Good for testing too. It could invite a lot of speed checks on the way down, especially with a lot of those hairpin turns. But I felt really good in this Kipsummit race. Felt like I had good control, braking when I needed to, and I feel like I could really let it roll when I wanted to. Again, on the run, that wide platform just feels really great. Felt really in control going down that descent. Felt like I could just spot my foot landings wherever I needed to be, and I honestly didn't feel any hint of a roll at all. So very stable coming down there, twisty and turny, really nice. It remains to be seen. I feel like this is a bit of a firmer feel compared to some of those really soft feeling super shoe, super foams like the Piba based Tecton X3, even the On Cloud Ultra Pro. Off the top of my head, those shoes certainly have a real softer, more squishier feel underfoot, whereas these are just not so soft, but whoa, boy, are they reactive and stable. So there's going to need to be a super shoe roundup, or maybe even a reckoning in 2026. This one will really be in the mix for sure. Last little bit here about on the run feel and sizing. I talked about the wide platform on the ground, how comfortable it was feeling on that descent back there. In terms of fit and feel, I really love it. I think It is an excellent upper. I'm feeling matrix level foothold and security, but with perhaps an enhanced kind of strapping down over the top of the shoe without squeezing from the sides. Very important there. A lot of times you'll get that shoe pressing your foot into the midsole, but then you'll get also some squeezing from the sides at the ball of the foot. None of that here in the shoe. It feels exceedingly comfortable on the run. I'm actually quite happy with my US 10 sizing here. Initially a little bit worried, so if you do happen to try on both the Max and the Race, I wouldn't be concerned if the Race is a little bit roomier, but if you size the Max pretty roomy, then I would maybe think about it. But if the Max fits just right and the Race has maybe a touch extra at the front of the toe box, I wouldn't be concerned about that. Foothold is good with this shoe. The upper wraps well, no stretch, less kind of soft materials around the foot, especially around the ankle collar area, as I noted in the close-up. This one, very secure. This is rivaling some of the best super shoe fits that I've seen, perhaps even the best. This is my first run again, but fit is premium in this Kipsummit Race. In fact, I think I am ultimately very happy with this US 10. Initially, I was skeptical, but I think it's probably just right for me. I'm gonna stick with it. More to come, obviously. Kipsummit Race here. Also the Max too. First impressions are, again, wow, great shoe. I mean, two stunning models out the gate. I know Kiprun does other trail shoes, but I would say these are their first real kind of super shoe type worldwide distribution. It's kind of a new era for Kiprun, so I'm calling it an entry into the market. I really need to test these shoes up against really top of the market trail super shoes. It's on that level. I could feel it right on this first run. Certainly terrain that I'm running in, terrain that you see today, light to moderate runnable, incredible shoe. I think it has range for more given the level of foothold and security you have here, but I'm gonna save my final thoughts pending further testing, of course, so keep an eye out for full review on this one, as well as the Max. Maybe a AB combo down the line. Both of these shoes coming out in spring 2026. It's clipping along at 6-minute pace there, dipping into 5:45s. A little bit downhill, but exceedingly smooth. You can certainly run fast in this shoe when you want to. Also, I should say technical. I shouldn't put that out of range. Blondine at Diagonale des Fous. My burgeoning French audience, how does that sound? Kiprun is coming in hot to trail in 2026. Bank on it. Thank you for tuning in once again to Humble Running. I'm trying to get these on the run reviews out to you in whatever shoes I have available to test as soon as possible. I know you want to see them in action and not just hear about them from behind a desk. If you are new to the channel, this is not unusual. I prefer to review on the run, so if you enjoy that style, hearing and seeing shoes on the run, maybe get a little bit of nice scenery, shorts and t-shirt weather in December. If you are snowed in at the moment, like and subscribe if you do like this sort of thing. Check out the website www.humblerunning.com. Of course, got a newsletter there, so sign up if you haven't already. You'll get updates. Gonna do a quick little rundown of all the shoes I've tested post TRE, and that is gonna go out tomorrow, so be sure to sign up today. I'll see you next time out on the trails. Have a good one.